Well, I have had the pleasure of working at Westchester University for the past 10 years. What you just did, Bill, was amazing. What's great about what you did was you just took something that would have taken us 3 hours to read and try to understand and apply and put it into 5 minutes. This is the kind of training that we really need to be doing the shift with. Villanova, David, where are you? Where are you sitting? Wonderful. I have a certificate, Lean Six Sigma certificate online through Villanova as well. And those are the things that, what I'm going to be telling you today are the things that you can take back to your workforce and apply immediately. I'd like to get to know my group before I start in the formal presentation because I want to be talking with you and not at you. How many of you would consider yourself the manager of the HR function, like the oversight? You're the director. Everything comes to you. Your head rolls if something goes wrong. Okay. Congratulations. How many of you would consider yourself a generalist? Meaning you can do everything. Or at least you're expected to and you learn if you don't know the answer. How many of you have a formal training function? There you go. Just for you who can't see, that was about 6. Do you know how many people are here? 60. What I'm about to tell you is something that you're not going to have a training function, a training department, and you don't have to have a lot of money. I've been working at Westchester University in this capacity as Director of Training for 7 years. When we first started, we did all instructor-based, face-to-face, classroom formal training. We learned very quickly. Well, I shouldn't say quickly. We're higher education. It took 3 years. It took a little bit of time to realize classroom training, that's not all what we need to be doing. We have a budget of $2,000 a year to provide training for all faculty and staff, and now we're providing it for all 14 state universities. How much did I just say? $2,000. How many of you have $2,000 that you can do something with regards to training? You want even low cost? I'm going to give you some things that are going to be free. Most of the things that we do are free. And that doesn't mean, yeah, Molly just does it all. No. There's a team, but there's very little involvement from that team because we have the resources, the skills, and the knowledge that you're going to gain in this hour that you're going to be able to take back and apply. On your table, you have 2 blank sheets of paper. One is yellow, and one is orangish, brighter yellow. Let's just go for it. One is more sunshine yellow, and one is more orange yellow. What I want you to do is everybody take one of each sheet. Darn people in training, they make us apply what we learn right away, right? It's a blessing. You'll see it later. So with that blank piece of paper, guess what else you're going to need? A pen. Yes, you may use a crayon, you may use a lip liner, whatever you need, whatever you have in that bag of yours. You're going to be writing in other words. On that orange piece of paper, I want you to write on top, barriers. Barriers. When I say the word barriers, what do you think of?
Barriers.
You can't use the same word as the definition as the word. Come on, Patrick. What do you think of when you see when I say the word barriers?
Obstacle.
Roadblocks. What else?
Obstacle.
Can't do it. Obstacle. Those are going to be the things that you're going to write down as I'm going to be talking. There are going to be things coming in your head. Well, we can't do that because I want you to be writing those down as we go. And then I want you to let it go. Because at the end of this program, I'm going to be able to shift you into a can-do attitude. Yes, I make the impossible possible. And if you're still stuck, you can contact me and I'll unstick you personally. Because there is a way. There is a way. Now on the yellow sheet, I want you to write down goals and ideas. Now, when we get started, I'm going to go through a lot of this great ideas and things that you can possibly do. If you like the possibility of an idea, this doesn't mean you're going to do it. But if you see it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want you to write it down. We're going to go into the differences between convergent and divergent thinking, but in the beginning, we're going to have an open mind. We're going to see all the possibilities. We're not going to say, well, I can't do that because I hate technology. How many of you hate technology? All right, let's face that right now. I didn't like technology either. I do not consider myself any kind of expert in technology. Everything I'm about to show you is so easy and at a click of a button. Guaranteed. Again, you get stuck, call me. There is no need for you to be getting stuck. All right? Everybody understand what you're going to do? Barriers, write them down, let them go. Deal with them later. You're going to write down the goals and the ideas as what I'm going to be telling you. All right? Now, if you have questions as we have going along, what do you think I want you to do? Raise your hand. Yeah, there you go. Keep it simple, folks. I know it's early. We're going to keep it simple. So raise your hand because, and if you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to raise my hand now, write down the question because we'll have a question and answer at the end as well. Okay? Because everybody learns differently, right? Everybody learns differently. How many of you have done formal training like what I'm doing right now? Raise your hand. Okay, great. That is about 3/4 of the room. Guess what that means? You have what? Experience. What else? Knowledge. What else?
Skills.
Skills. What kind of skills?
Presentation skills.
Presentation skills. There you go. How many of you have 10 or more years experience in your field? Raise your hand. Hello. Look at that. That is amazing. The wealth of knowledge that you have right now is going to be at the end of this, not only your knowledge, but everybody's knowledge is going to be able to be shared. So, you ready to get started? All right. So, today I said about training in a box. This is the formal box, right? No, I'm not going to sell you my books and say, here, you must buy them and put them in here and take them with you. No, everything you're going to learn today is going to be able to be thinking outside that box. And here's the good news. You know, we have some roadblocks, we have some litigation, we have some things going on. We always have roadblocks. How many of you in HR deal with roadblocks? All right, if you're all not raising your hand, you're either A, not doing your job, or B, sleeping. We do that. But the good news is we're having a shift in attitude towards this learning. Towards learning in general. You know, training, if people don't like the word training, change the word. I remember when we started with, in my journey in human resources, we would go out with the word talent management. Like, oh, that HR speak. You know, that's what people were hearing. Talk about the language in which your people hear. So learning. But the good news is there's a shift in attitude towards learning. 91% of the workers said that job training and career development were among the top priorities. You can see the source. You don't believe me? Look it up. And if you like these PowerPoint slides and want them, I'm going to have an opportunity for you to put a business card in here and I'll personally send it to you, okay? So that's another thing. Don't think, oh, I need to write. No, I want you to be focusing on those 2 sheets of paper. So 6% still call it duty. Oh, that's good though. They still see it as part of their job, right? Only 3% says it's a hindrance. So the good news is why the shift? It's the volatile job market. They're seeing that, oh, I need to make sure I'm strengthening my skills. So you might like this little clip here. Our love of HR ladies and HR gentlemen is well documented, but many companies, the HR department is way down on the list of things people want to embrace. It's not usually this shiny, exciting, and filled with, well, you know, creative people who spend their days. You know, you can read it. We're labeled whether we like it or not. It's labeling. It's part of human nature, right? You might have read also in 2005, there was that article by Keith Hammonds, Why We Hate HR. Did anybody read that one? Yeah, well, I encourage you to read it, but I want you to take it to the next level. I want you to Google what Robin Berkeley did that said a teaching guide that goes along with that. Because for us to be at the table, there's certain things that we need to build ourselves before we start building our learning function. So here's some more stats for those who are statisticians. 40% of employees commend their companies for retaining high-quality workers. 41% agreed that performance evaluations were fair. 58% rated their job training as favorable. And 50% of workers below the manager level believe their companies took a genuine interest in them. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's not too bad. No, we have some work to do. And we can be at the table. So it might be excuses. Yes, it's HR. You know, you might have a few people say, oh, it's HR, why they hate HR. You can read that article if you wish. But really, we need to have managers a role in the career and professional development of the people. We can't do it all. We can't. It's easy to say, oh, it's HR's fault. But we need to invoke and involve everyone. And some employees do say that they're too busy for learning. They have too much work to do. But what I'm about to tell you is that you're going to be able to find a solution. So today, this is what you're going to gain. You're going to help retain high-quality workers. This is your net value to your organization. You're going to increase their job training satisfaction, identify and position people for advancement. Yeah. And those working below the manager level will believe their company took an interest. Talk about morale. I actually, Bill, have gotten a lot of requests to do anti-bullying. It is alive, it is well, it is not in just our school systems. You're right, they grow up, and they're in our workforce. And the thing is, they grow up, but they don't grow out of it. So there is a high need for a lot of that. But if we work on increasing the job satisfaction, you know, he looks better in Superman cape than I did, so you get him. But, you know, this is some of the things we got to let go. You don't have to be the content management experts. You don't. Yes, you have the knowledge. We established that. But you have other people in your organization with knowledge. At least, I hope you do. And you don't have to have a large training budget. I said all that. And bottom line is you don't have to do it all. So, this is what you must do. So I want you to be reflecting on some of these to say, can I do this? Because it does take a little bit of commitment, not only in you, but in your whole team. You know, do you have employees and organizational needs in mind? Nothing is worse than saying, I'm going to deliver this training, and it's not something that they need. So think about that. You're going to engage managers in the discussion. You know what's going to happen if you don't engage managers? HR said you need to do this. Yeah, that sounds like fun. You know? So, and lastly, have a few passionate people at all levels that embrace learning. Just learning in general. Just learning in general. And it doesn't have to be, well, that's only 3 people. Well, that's 3 people that you didn't have before. So it's how you shift your thinking. So you sometimes have to build and borrow credibility. I brought in a couple of outside speakers and shared with them the vision, the plan, and all the big picture that I had for training at Westchester University. They wanted to be a part of it. It's how well you pitch it to them. And I'm going to give you some sample language that will help you land these great speakers in order to do that. So this is what I want you to avoid. And you're like, oh man, I need to reassess some of the stuff that perhaps you're doing. Once and done versus integrated multi-level curriculum. How many of you have event-based training? And that's okay to have some of that. How do you deliver training in your organizations?
Face-to-face.
Face-to-face. What else?
Webinar.
Webinar. Video. What do you use for your video? I think I heard it over here. Streaming video? Is it something you do or something you buy and stream? Well done. What else? Any other things? All right. Anybody know this guy? Not personally, but do you know? He's one of my mentors. He recently passed on. But this is the second most popular book to the Bible, folks. And this is the second habit is one of my favorites. It is begin with the end in mind. You might be thinking, oh, as I write down some of these goals on that yellow piece of paper, that can't be done. You know what? I want you to think 5 years from now. When you think 5 years from now and then work backwards, it makes it a little bit easier. When you just look at training month to month, 6 months, 1 year, you just continue to do the same thing over and over. When you think about 5 years and where you want your organization to be and what you think they'll need, then you get strategic. So begin with the end in mind. So here's the foundation: convergent versus divergent thinking. What's convergent thinking? What do you think? Think about the word. Converge, diverge. I'm not doing yoga, folks. Convergent thinking. Are you looking for one solution or multiple solutions? One. Divergent thinking is you're looking for multiple. So what we're about to do is divergent thinking. We're going to look at some of the things that you can be doing right now. These are some free resources that you can be putting inside a curriculum because you're beginning with the end in mind. That's free. You put it in a curriculum that all managers know that is going to be accessible and available. This helps with performance evaluations. Opportunities for growth, you have it all. It's almost given a curriculum right here so that you can continue to learn. So John Gordon, he's one of my favorites. He has free posters, free resources, free podcasts, free webinars. Sign up for his newsletters. You know what? He'll invite you in. Sometimes what he does is you pay $10 for one and you get the whole podcast and you can use it as often as you want. Wow. $10. Okay, that we still have how much left on the $2,000 budget, right? So, vaudeville recognition. Vaudeville is a company that does a lot of gifts and positive recognition kind of things. Company. Do you know they have a resource section that gives you all the holidays, all the 1,000 ways to reward employees, low cost, no cost? Why reinvent the wheel? TheGreatestQuote.com. Get it delivered daily. Put it out and give it to other managers to say, hey, you might want to suggest sending it out to your people because it might be that thing that inspires them to be productive. E-zines, listservs, and digital media. I get all these free magazines via email. Some of them apply to the managers and employees of the organization, some don't. Forward out the ones that are. Borrowed credibility, folks. You are doing the borrowed credibility. Fast Company Magazine, Workforce, Talent Management, Chief Learning Officer, Diversity Executive, all of them have free e-zines. Industry experts and consultants. What are some industries that are out here in the room right now? Staffing? What else?
EAP.
EAP? What else? Education? Do you have any insurance? Finance? Sorry, I'm coming to do that. You could just check and make sure you're still there. There you go. Yes, there's a lot of different industries. Those are more business management and more HR related things, but there are people in your industry that if they know that you're actually studying some of the industry people, all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're caring about what we're doing as a company. Yes, you're building the credibility. So, applicable videos. How many of you have ever watched a TED video, TED? If you have not, put that on your to-do list. Those are amazing, life-riveting types of think about where you are, where you're going, how to inspire creativity in your organization, how to lead in times of turmoil. This is all free from, like, Steve Jobs. I have to admit, Steve Jobs is a little bit more well-known than me, you know? Borrowed credibility, folks. You know that you're out there. You know that you're out there. Simple Truths, the videos. You know what? I'm going to share with you. Mac Anderson. How many of you have ever heard of Mac Anderson? Another one for you to get to know. Again, put them on your goals and ideas list. Brian Tracy, I had the privilege of speaking with Brian about 2 years ago, and he's another one of those generational, just amazing men for goal setting. And he's probably in his 70s. Sorry, Brian, I think you are. But he recently paired up with Mac Anderson, and he's done Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog. Talk about productivity. It says, eat the frog, the thing that is going to be sitting in your soul first thing in that morning. Can you imagine, instead of it hindering you the whole day long? How is it great to watch a 3-minute video and now you're thinking about, oh, not that thing I have to do, but you're going to be saying, darn it, I need to eat that frog. It's that little nuggets of learning that you might be thinking, oh gosh, this is too fluffy. You know what? You'd be surprised how many people embrace it. Don't be thinking just from your perspective, think from your organization's perspective. People love these movies. Mackie understood. 2012 degree service. How many of you think service is important in your organization? Yeah. You want to still thrive? Yeah, any of you doing this, right? Here's another 3-minute video, and it's 10 rules for creating a service culture. Guess what? Put these in some manager's hands, and 5 questions that go along with it. All of a sudden, they have staff meeting starters. 10 weeks. Every week, they're focusing on one. Make it attainable, folks. Look, do you see how thick this book is? And it has pictures. So it's these things that we can see, oh my gosh, it's so much to do, and so I don't, stop it. Right? It has a barrier. Those thoughts that come into your mind, your self-thoughts are those barriers. This took me 30 minutes to create discussion questions around each 10 rule. Carve the time out. And you don't have to do it. And I'm going to talk about the team later as to who you can kind of enlist to do it. There are lots of people who would love to do stuff like that. You just don't know who they are yet, maybe. Center for Creative Leadership. Anybody heard of them? Out of Greensboro, North Carolina. About 10 hands. They have free podcasts. Over 80 of them. Again, training is not formal training in a room, sit, listen. Do you know what percentage they retain in formal classroom training? What percentage do you think they actually retain or are able to come back with? Yay! Somebody knows it. 10%. So just think about that. 7 hours of being in a class, or half an hour, or half a day even. Only come back with 10%. When you shift your way of training to this kind of chunking down the learning, it involves everybody in discussion, and everyone's seeing how they can apply it. It's just not information. You need to help them apply it. Something else I want to share with you is called the self-profile. Just like a lot of organizations, communication is key to your success, right? How many of you have ever heard of the self-profile? 3 or 4. This is a very affordable tool, $10. What it does is it talks about where your communication style and what you appreciate, how you would communicate with people, let's say, like me. Unfortunately, yes, I am one of those morning social people, so probably half of you are like, oh my gosh, really? And you know what, you might fall into another quadrant. So when I work with you, I would have to shift. I have to shift my communication style. It's not me changing you. And that goes back to that anti-bullying. A lot of this bullying and this agitation and conflict happens because of not talking about some of these communications and where we come as humans and how we can get the most. Because can we agree that many times we want to get to the destination, but we just do it a little bit differently? These give you the tools. $10 isn't bad. If you have leaders and managers who are like, yeah, that manager would never do something like that. You guys don't have anybody like that, right? That's where you get somebody who can present and you video them. Look what we're doing right here. Virginia is actually videotaping me right now, and I'm going to send this back to your organization so that they can get the knowledge. Even when Bill speaks, if you'd be open to doing it, film him and put him up. Guess what? Sorry, I just totally volunteered you on that. But hey, get your PowerPoint in the background. It's all good. They see who you are. And that's it. You're the expert. But then you start sharing that information bigger. Instead of just having 30 people in that classroom, you've now reached 30,000, or however big your organization is. And that's what's key as well. With our technology, I'm going to show you a little bit about the technology. It costs very little. And what you're able to share goes a long way. Amazon bestsellers, you'll see that I brought some of my books, not my books, I guess my books are up there, but some of my favorite books are up there. Take a look at them. If you like them, maybe that's something you need to add to your library. Don't think you need to do all the research, all the programming, all the putting the instructional design together. Don't. Do you know how many of them at the end of each chapter has action steps to what you just learned? A lot. Don't reinvent the wheel. So here's how some of the tech, I said about, okay, those who embrace technology, how many of you are open to exploring a little bit of something new in technology? All right, good, thank you. And those on the fence, that's okay too. Hopefully what I'll be able to share with you will be able to make it possible. TotallyFreeConferenceCalls.com. Ever hear of it? Okay, I've seen about 7 nods. What's great about this is it's free 24/7. All you need is a phone. So let's say we're doing a conference call. We need 500 people on the lines because we're virtual, our company is everywhere. Or let's say everybody works out of their home, whatever the case may be. They call into this line, you can record whatever it is that you're trying to communicate with them. It might be a staff meeting, it might be informational, it might be whatever you want to record. You can bring in people to the call or you can mute the line if you want it to be a one-way. It comes in audio file, a WAV file. You just captured that learning. Think about that. There's no scheduling, there's no reservations. It's not you need to call headquarters to set that line up, then you need to send everything out. It's not that confusing. It's just free teleconferencecalls.com. Blog Talk Radio. Ever hear of that one? This is amazing. We have something that we started called WCU Excellence Radio. You can have your own radio station for your company, for your employees. So give me somebody's company's name. Come on, this is free marketing. What is it? Somebody's company's name. Double Star? Oh, I like that name. Double Star. So Double Star radio show. You know, so what happens is you set up, and it's all free. All shows are archived as podcasts. So what we do at Westchester is we interview people. We have a lot of experts, and it's not always in their subject of expertise, but it's something they do well. Maybe they run effective meetings. Maybe they know how to manage employees really well. Maybe they're known for just having great service. You interview them. What do you think happens when that employee gets interviewed? Do they feel really icky, or do you think they're like, yeah? A or B? Yeah, I know, leading question. But it is. They're, all of a sudden they're like, and you know what? They're so excited that they were just on Blog Talk Radio. You know what they do with it? It becomes a link and it's archived. So what do they do with it?
Share it out.
They send it to all the people they work with, and even their friends, and everybody, and guess what? That makes your company, Double Star, look what?
Great.
Great. Oh man, I heard my friend who did this radio show, and she talked about this, and it was so cool. All of a sudden, they're just going to remember Double Star cool. See how it works? You know, it's blending the sales, the knowledge, the morale. All of a sudden, that anti-bullying, the conflicts, all those things that are happening start to dissipate. 6 questions. They get the questions ahead of time. On your tables, you'll see that there is a sheet with, it's a sample script. You'll see it. It's a white sheet of paper stapled. Hopefully everybody has a copy. If not, I have a few extra up here as well. So just share with your friends for now. What's great about this is a sample script. I learned a lot. My background also is in sales. I used to work for Wells Fargo Education Financial Services, so I apply a lot of those sales backgrounds. But it's a way to make it hard to say no. It's how to engage people into saying, hey, can you do a Blog Talk Radio show? They're going to say what? 9 times out of 10, they'll probably say what to you? No. You need to get the whiffle in it. You know, what's in it for them? You know, we're really trying to increase morale. We want to, you're known for being an expert in this area. You were recommended by so-and-so. All of that is going to puff them up, and they're going to say, absolutely. I have a sample script in there as well for you to think about how your script would go. For when you're in a Blog Talk Radio, usually 6 questions is all you have to ask the person, and they know them ahead of time. And you'll see at the end of that script, I say, if you're interested in being a radio show guest, please let us know. This is what we're looking for. So again, at the end of every show, you're engaging people on how to get involved in. What did I say that you need to do, that you don't have to do it? See, there's that 10% again. See? You don't have to do it all. Your people have the knowledge. You know, your people have the knowledge. So, you know, and all you need is a phone. That's the thing with this Blog Talk Radio, don't think you need a studio. You need a phone. How many of you have a phone? Yeah, see how I like to take those barriers down, you know? And you might have a few people that have a good radio show voice. And when I say radio show voice, it's somebody with inflection in their voice. That's really all I need. And then so you might ask them to be the host of the show. Hey, can you host it for this guest? Or you can ask this person, say, hey, do you have a recommended host for the show? So again, you're creating synergy. You're creating excitement. And by the way, you're increasing their productivity. Wow. That's why we love HR. All of a sudden, you're going to create raving fans. And that is what has happened. And again, you're just going to have to take my word for it. You have to get started. So, oh yeah, promotional tools, social media and blogs. Guess what? Not everybody wants to be on the radio. Not everybody wants to be videotaped. Some people love to write. Some people have great knowledge that they love to just write down and share. Let them do that too. How long do you think it would take to write a blog, time-wise, on something that you know about? How many of you know what a blog is? Okay, there's laughter, that's good. Okay, well, I don't want to assume, you know, but that is something, again, information sharing, you know, information sharing. You know, they can actually even promote their department, their knowledge, and then, oh, for more information, you might want to read this new policy and procedure and something that's coming out. Back end the learning, baby. Got a back end the learning, so that they're excited about your brand and they're excited about what you have to offer. So social media. How many of you think employees check Facebook during work hours? Yeah, I do. You know? Guess what? If you create a Facebook account and it's about learning and you encourage them to sign up and like you, when they check Facebook, guess who's going to pop up? You. You know what it might also do? Encourage them to get back to work. No, I'm kidding. That's not the intent. That's not the intent, okay? But you know, and so just like the publishing industry, you know, it's really hard to get a publisher these days because they need to reinvent themselves. Everything's going electronic. Training is the same way. It's a shift. And this makes it possible in the time that you've been given. So have them write blogs if you have a few people interested in writing blogs. You know, we need to get involved in Facebook. And so those people that you have on your Blog Talk Radio, you know, at Double Star, like, hey, can you send this out to your friends and encourage them to like you? I just posted your radio show on there. Oh, okay. So everything, all the easings, all the things that you're going to do, you can post on Facebook. Again, all it does is take a second. When I read through Chief Learning Magazine, all these things, I'm like, oh, click, copy, paste, done, boop, back to work. It's easy, folks. Learning comes in chunks. So, here's another low-cost item for you. What I am video recording right here, and by the way, I am not paid to promote any of these people, but I do like it. I do it, I use it, this is for you. So the Kodak Play and Touch video camera, that's what I'm using, $100. There is a lavalier microphone that goes with it. If I was closer, I could actually put a lavalier here and record it, and it sounds like a studio production. Amazing. If you really see how we would record these, you would be like behind the scenes. really, Molly? Yeah, like they don't need to know that that's really what it all looks like behind the scenes. But at the end of the production, man, it looks like they paid $3,000 to get this video done. And actually, all you did up front is pay about, what is that, 120, 20? You do the math. Less than 150 bucks. That's a memory card. That's always good to have memory. Well, it is good to have memory, but in the memory card so that you have all these videos. And the other thing I'm going to recommend is the Sony Digital Flash Voice Recorder. You basically, it kind of looks like this, and you just record it. Again, you download it very easily. You just put it in your computer, and it says, open, click, save, done. It is seriously that easy. Now, all of these graphics that you've been seeing throughout this program, I've lifted off websites. You might be thinking, well, I'm not good at promotion. I don't know how to do marketing. How am I going to get people to sign up to do certain things? Sign up for teleseminars, videos, webinars, whatever. Thisnicekit.com, if you go to Snap-a-Shot, it really captures, and it doesn't even sit on your desktop at all. You click on it, and a box appears, and you save whatever it is you want to capture, a screenshot. It's great. I don't know if they get money for me clicking on it. I don't really care. Because it's a great free software. Another one, a lot of times companies are, I can't have you sending lots of attachments to things. So again, this is another solution is in an email, you just add text boxes and use NiceKit. And again, it shrinks the amount of space that you use to send an email. E-newsletters, e-blast, Constant Contact I have used. How many of you have ever heard of Constant Contact? Yep, that's a pretty cost-effective way of doing it. If you have 6,000 or more on your list, it's $75 a month. If you have 1,500 or less, it's 30 bucks. So again, and they're really professional e-zines, and it's really just click. And all of a sudden, your brand from your HR office, it's so many people said, man, you guys really look corporate. I'm like, is that a compliment? But they do, it's so professional. It's like you paid somebody tons of money to do that. But really, they make it so easy. Registration systems. We have a flu shot at Westchester University, and we usually get 380 people registering. And they used to do it manually. Oy vey. Do not do that. There are systems out there that you can click, let me see my people, and it just gives you an Excel spreadsheet, everyone, time and contact information, emails, first name, last names. You got all the information right there. Don't work harder. You know what I'm going to say? This is all going to shorten that learning curve. So here are some creative ways. Here are some creative ways. Low cost, no cost, easy, quick, learn, go. Staff meeting starters. Here's another one that I love too. Some of these game books. Don't think of, oh, I need to come up with something for learning. You don't have to come up with anything. There is so much out there. Here's Conquer the Brain Drain. I realize that a lot of times there's conflict in meetings because people are working out of the wrong side of the brain. And you're like, what does she mean by that? We are all have either a right or a left brain dominance. When you are right brain, typically what? You are what thinkers? Creative. If you're on the left, you are thinking what? Analytical. What happens when you have half the people in your meeting thinking creatively, half of them thinking analytically? Migraine. You get a free book just because of that one. I love humor. I'll sign it for you. That's awesome. You know, but you need to create whole brain thinkers. So if you know you're going to be doing brainstorming and you have a group of left brain people, don't set yourself up for failure. Get a book like this, Conquer the Brain Drain. It teaches people how to shift everybody's brain into the right hemisphere, or the left hemisphere, and be productive. A lot of the things that, and I really have to say I'm grateful for my job at Westchester because my job is to learn, but the thing is, everybody's job should be to learn, right? So the more you share some of these things, the more they're going to gain these nuggets subliminally or directive. to be able to apply it. So staff meeting starters, train the trainer. I told you about the 212-degree service. Very easy. Keep it easy and quick for them. It doesn't have to be complicated. No. Book clubs. We've done this book, Good to Great. Jim Collins, ever hear of it? We did it virtual, not even around, in together, face-to-face kind of things. Everybody just called into that free teleconference call, .com, called into it, and discussed the book. It doesn't have to always be face-to-face, and it doesn't always have to be an hour long. Most of our learning is between 20 and 40 minutes. What I didn't share with you either is John Maxwell. Ever hear of John Maxwell? Guess what he has? He has Word of the Day. Does anybody subscribe to Word of the Day? I encourage you to do that. Good. Oh, look at the smile that you had. I mean, he has a good one. Yesterday's was stress. And believe me, I put that on social media for us. I put it out to listservs. I mean, the words that he chooses helps us redirect our energies and keep focused on the goals. But I swear that sometimes those words are meant for me that day. Guess what? You can have your own word of the day. It's 2 minutes or less, and you can have people saying service, and then they tell a story around it. You can start your own words of the day for your company. Possible, people, possible. It's not impossible. When you just take one step every day and know that you begin with the end in mind, at the end of 5 years, you're going to create something that, wow, it's just working like clockwork. But you need to start. Learning series. Here's another one. Leadership Challenge. Ever hear of it? Another good one. How many principles are there? Remember? 5. How many great series would it be? How many weeks? Hey, is that great? I love that Cruz and Poser set that up like that. And you don't always have to lead in it. You can have somebody leading the first principle, somebody else leading the second. It's not have to be complicated. E-workbooks, that's something that can happen as a result of a formal training you put together, so it can live forever. And of course, once you have all these audio, video, all of these things, you're going to be able to have it for a lifetime. So if you have an organization that's having trouble communicating, I have 6 things that I can give them, 2 of which to go to the managers, the rest to the others, and it's right there. It didn't take any extra time or planning. You already built it. So building the team, and I want to check on time here. What do I have? 10 minutes there, Maria?
Yes.
10 minutes? Okay. These are the teams. And now you're thinking, okay, Molly, now you're getting costly. I'm not. Right now, I want you to look at that yellow sheet of paper and write these 4 groups there. If you're left brain, you can put them in boxes, or if you're right brain, you can put them in bubbles. I don't care what you do to them. Just write down these 4 things, because what I'm going to ask you to do is think about 2 to 3 people in each of these categories that you can think of. So we have influencers and coaches, organizers and event planners, teachers and researchers, creative marketers and designers. I don't want you to say, well, he or she probably won't do that. Again, that's a barrier, write it on the orange. I want you to be thinking about who are the people who have some of these qualities that we're about to go over. When I say influencers and coaches, these are those type of people. So write down 2 or 3 or more people, and at all levels of the organization. Just don't look at the top, look at all of the levels of the organization. Who are connected, who's social, who's respected, and who's a good listener. I know sometimes it's tough to get the social and the listener together, but there are those out there that do it really well, and those are leaders, no matter where they are in the organization. All right? 2 to 3, 5 for overachievers. All right. These people are going to have 3 roles. It's very important to share with them what their role will be, because otherwise they'll be like, I have one more thing to do now. They're no longer an influencer or a coach. Okay? So they're either going to recruit for you, they're going to see who's internal and external that are good for them to present, who's going to encourage your participation, because if you have all these great shows and great everything, if you don't have anybody listening, you got nothing. You have product, but you don't have participation. So who's going to be the ones that are going to encourage that participation? And lastly, who's going to conduct the needs assessment? Those are the people who can ask a lot of really great questions. Those are those people. So as you develop those influencers and coaches, I want you to take it to the next level, and you don't have to do it right now, but look and see who they might be. And some might be recruiters and encouragers, whatever it is, but talk with them through what they would be interested in doing. And give them the tools to succeed. You have one of the samples that I gave you. And again, if you're watching this and don't have them, just email me, and I can get them to you. There are a lot of people who like to organize and do event planning. Who are those people in your organization? And again, it doesn't just have to be in your HR office. Think outside the box, all right? Think outside of it. They're organized, detail-oriented, behind the scenes, and accountable. Looking back, I should have put accountable first, because this is a very important role. So again, write 2 or 3 or 5 people, if you have it. They're going to manage the calendar, because what's great is that from year to year, you're going to add curriculum. And when you have it at an expected time and know that you can deliver it whenever people need it also, they can start planning. They can say, okay, this is how I'm going to apply it. They have access to a budget, and like I said, how much do you think that I've spent of your money right now?
Less than $500.
Good, less than 500 bucks. Absolutely. So they're going to monitor the registration. You're going to use those registration systems, so it's a no-brainer. It's going to be really easy to do. And you're going to follow up with the presenters regarding the materials they may need or whatever they need, if it's face-to-face or not face-to-face. Teachers and researchers. You might have people who really like to read the book and put the content together but not present it. That's fine. We need those too. Because other people are like, I'll just present it. Because when we do these videos, we sometimes have PowerPoint slides and they're projected to the back of the wall. So all we have to do is we're there talking, doing our PowerPoint slide, and everybody's like, wow, you did it so smoothly. And so I'm like, yeah, because I have my PowerPoint. Shh. That's tricks of the trade. Why not do it? Make it easy on them. Make it easy. So you have knowledgeable, credible, engaging, and professional, loves learning, and enjoys sharing. Those are those folks. Those are those folks. So who are those 2 to 3 people? Because guess what? What I just shared with you hit a ton of learning styles. When you do video with a handout, what senses do you touch on? Video. Visual. Kinetic. What else? That means touching you're physically doing the handout, maybe writing something with it. And audio. You hit 3 of them. Didn't have to do face-to-face for that. Creative designers and marketers. That's all of us, right? Typically it's not, to be quite honest. But we have people in our organization that likes to be creative. You know what? If you don't have those creative people in your organization, there are people who are. Guess what? Here's Fred Pryor seminars. Here's Cornell University. Why not use some of their language for their programs? We have, ooh, sure, that's a good one. We'll use that too. What I'm saying is there's lots of curriculum that you might be interested in developing, and the language is already written for you. You'll look through it and like, oh, I really like that. Like, oh, well, that would work well with this program. Borrow some of the language. You don't have to come up with it yourself, because our skills are different. Another one I like is the American Management Association. These are all languages that you can just take to market your own and strategically brand yourself as a learning organization. So here you go. Online advertisement, use nicekid.com to snap a shot. Go in and take certain visuals too you might like. So the brochures, event promotions, borrow pictures, this is all the stuff that makes your job easier. Now, I'm taking it over the top because now I'm going to show you how to make money. And if you might be in the business of wanting to make money for your organization, you might not want to. However, this often gets the attention of the CEO when you can say what you're making is something that is profitable. So, generating revenue. I help people all the time do this. You know, develop the Blog Talk Radio. So say you have 20 Blog Talk Radio shows. You create an e-workbook that goes with it. You can sell it. You can upload it to Amazon very easily, Kindle, and sell it. Totally free conference calls, the same thing. You can upload it to iTunes. You know, disc makers, you can actually do the physical disc. All of a sudden, you have a 6-disc series on leadership. This is all the stuff that you can work with even your competition or your customers, because some of them might be having that trouble. So your sales department in your company might find value in this, because they might be able to sell it to your customers and then land this big client because this is how you operate. Mirror printing, I go with them through all my books. They're great people to work for, and they're most cost effective, I've found. So really, you can become that training in a box. And I know I wasn't asked to present on that, but to just see where you can go. Low cost, no cost, and you can even make money at the end of the day. So, you're all equipped, right? I gave you a lot of information today. A lot of information. And a lot of things may be new to you, and that's okay. Newness is good, because you're going to be able to write down some of those goals and look at some of those barriers. What were some of your barriers that you were able to write down? Any barriers? Resources. How do you define resources?
People, money, time.
I challenge you to go through those and quantify what those barriers look like.
Already did.
Good. So then what I would recommend is saying, what can we do today? What can we do 6 months from now? What can we do a year from now? Because often when you see this, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so much to do. Stop it. You might say, I want to do 1 Blog Talk Radio show a month. Great. 30 minutes over 12 months is what? Make it doable. What are some other barriers? Think about it and work through them. So the next goals, what are some of your goals? After hearing this, what are some of the things you want to give a try? Anything? You want to go back and just do face-to-face training, right? Blog radio?
On the company portal.
Yeah, that would be great. And you can even upload their headshots so people actually know their face with their name. People love that. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was what she looked like. Yes.
I have a question. It goes back to the beginning of your talk, and it goes back to, I keep thinking about this issue of online courses, college courses versus in-person instruction. And I go back, actually I just thought about this earlier during your talk, I go back to 30 years ago when I was in law school. I had a professor who was routinely away because he was the coach for our law school's moot court team. So half the time he would videotape his lectures, and I remember we used to call, I forget the nickname we called him, but the students in the class, we always felt shortchanged because we were watching him on videotape instead of in person. And I might be wrong, you're the expert, I'm not the expert in this, but intuitively, it seems to me that if you go to learn something in person with other people, with a live person, you are going to get a lot more out of it than whether it's college or this training, than you're doing it remotely, sitting at a computer with all the distractions around you and not focusing on it, and also not having the other people in the room where there's some peer pressure because you have other people in the room to pay attention to what the person in the classroom is saying. I guess what I'm challenging you is, I think in person, whether it's this, college, graduate school, law school, in-person learning live in a classroom with other people, you you are going to get much more out of it and much more bang, especially if you're paying tuition, say in an online course versus an in-person course. The student is going to get a lot more out of it seeing it in person than they're going to get remotely or at a computer terminal.
I'd recommend doing blended learning. That's when you do half video, half discussion. I spoke about staff meetings. Not all managers have the content or the knowledge or the desire to communicate certain things that you as an HR manager or department need to get across. So that's why sometimes the video is good, and then you give the manager the discussion questions to help that dialogue happen. I'm not suggesting that only doing one line or just only doing video or only doing audio. There's always something that goes with it, with questions and discussion that happens as the group. For example, the same thing with the Blog Talk Radio, or for the free teleconference. You're all on and you're all discussing together. So yes, there is that one way, but I encourage you to not be one way like you recommend, or not that you objected to and it was good. But there's a blended learning that is taking place, and especially because we're having millennials coming into the workforce, they're expecting 30 years ago, training was all face-to-face, learning was all face-to-face. So you're right, you probably were feeling shortchanged because that's just not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be face-to-face. Now we're shifting because of all this, I don't have time to learn. You know, I don't have time, I have too much work to do, I can't make time to learn. In corporations, that's where they're going because they want them to learn in bites. They want to learn with each other. They can learn in groups with a blended of video, audio, and discussion. And so that's what I'm encouraging, because right now it's not happening to the extent that it needs to. They're just doing their job. We need to put learning into their everyday life so that they manage change better, because that's another thing, that if you continue to put learning in chunks in front of them, they actually become more of a change agent and versus, no, this is the way I've always done it, let me keep on doing the way I've always done it. If you continue to put that learning in spurts, then it becomes a part of the learning culture, so that when the shift happens, they're able to do it. Did you have a question?
No, I had a comment related to Bill's comment. I think it also is, it matters what type of an employee population you have. I worked for an organization that had about 10% full-time and 90% part-time. And to get those people to come in and take their bloodborne pathogens training and their child abuse training and sexual harassment, whatever, the employees were so thankful when we went to online training and they could just do it at night in the comfort of their home, and they didn't have to be at a live training at a certain time, like on a Saturday or 7 o'clock in the evening. So I think you really have to consider who your audience is. And as you said, the millennials, they don't want to be bothered. They don't even talk to each other. They just text each other. For them, that's the greatest way to go.
Yeah, and that is, it's knowing that population, because just think about how good morale you created just by offering that online. And we do have compliance training. We're HR, right? We have compliance training. You know, how great is it for them to watch a video, answer 3 questions, one from the beginning, the middle, and the end, and just say that, yes, I've watched it. Okay, good. Great. You know, so there's ways of making things possible. So with that said, I thank you all for having me today. Again, my cards are on the table. If you need help kind of wrapping your head around this, you know, and how to apply it, that's a service that I do offer. And there are books up here too. You're more than welcome to get them as well.
Thank you again, Mom.